Hi everyone, welcome in this video. I'm Ari and today we're going to create this section here by using Bricks Builder and AutomaticCSS. Check the description of this video to have more information on my setup. So let's start. This is the design we want to reproduce, of course, and let's hop on our Bricks Builder page here. Okay, so great. I will go with the section first, then container. With the container selected, I would go on plus button and add my elements. I will switch from Figma to Bricks just to get the design right. So our blog, latest post. Okay, so we basically have two columns because we have a button here and some text here. Okay, now it's switching correctly. So with the container selected, this time we're going to display grid, and here I would do two grid. Okay, I'm using AutomaticCSS, and here with two grid set it up, and make sure container is still selected. Go on plus button, and here I would choose to add a block. Once you added your block, click here. I would call it block left. Okay, select it, plus button, and here we're going to add the heading and the title. So we can do like post title, sorry, not post title, give me 1 second, let me go back. We need to go on heading. Okay, then I will add another heading, and then I would add a rich text. Okay, in this way. So I'm going to copy the text just to make it more similar. In this way. Okay, then I would rename this. So select the first heading, rename it heading pre-heading or something like that. We're heading small, heading that's rich text. Okay, so I do this just to differentiate, make sure you know the difference between the two. So I'm going to click on this one now, and I usually add a class to everything, but for the purpose of this tutorial we go faster by just maybe clicking on the element, style, typography, and I would go on font size. And you try to add the size you want. I would go with M. I would keep this one in this way, and this one you can change the color or whatever by going on style, typography, of course. I will keep it like this. So let me go on my design here again. Okay, and let me check now the button. So view all post is the button, right? So now we need to click on container again. Let me close this and just click on container and plus button and just choose block. With block selected, we can call it block right. And with block right selected, I would go click on plus button and choose a button. Great. Now that we added the button, make sure with the block right selected that you go on content and just click on end. And now the button is at the very end of the block. So the structure now is very similar. Okay, if I get back to here, we have the button here, we have the text here and whatever. I'm going also to just increase the spacing of this, so you can click on this block left and just go on style, sorry, not style, go on content, row gap, and you can add, the row gap you prefer. But let's say you don't want to have the same row gap, okay? Just do this. Block left, open it, heading small, right click, wrap. You can wrap it into a div, and then you can open the div, you have the heading small inside of it, and just click on heading, the normal one, drag and drop it into the div. And if you close it, as you can see, you have both of them inside of it. Okay. And now if I go on block left and row gap, right click on it, you can, XS, for example, and you basically have the sizing, right? Okay, great. So this was done correctly, okay? And let's say now I would like to add the other part, right? Those cards. So to add a card, click on section here, and then go on plus button, and then search for container. It's adding a new container into the section. In some case, it may, for a bug, I guess, it may put it outside of it, but make sure it's on the same level of this container. So once done that, just click on container here. And then with the container selected, you can go on display, choose grid, and you can choose tree. Okay. So now that we have 3 columns, we just need to create the cards, okay, inside of it. And this is pretty straightforward. So let's go and create our cards. Okay, so with the container selected, I would go on plus button and I would create a block, okay? And this block is very important. Call it with the name of the card. So this would be called like card clean 1. Okay, I mean you can call it like however you want. Maybe the number is not really good to add, like card clean Mars. Okay, just to add a particular name. With this created, now you need to select it and just start adding the elements. This could be heading. Okay, of course. In my next videos, I also will show you how to make those dynamic based on your posts. Okay, in this video, we're going to check the structure. So heading. Wait, so maybe not the heading. Let me delete this, keep this block selected because I'm not sure what. Okay, image. Let's say this is the category and this is the title and this is the description. So we have plus button, we have an image. Okay, then we have a heading, then we have another heading, like this is actually not a heading, should be a category, but I will keep it as a heading. Then we have this other heading here, and now we also need to add a description, a text, right? I would go with a basic text in this case, because when it's dynamic, I don't use the rich text. And then we have this part that is the avatar with the content, right? So, okay, so let me, instead of the avatar, we will do it maybe later. For now, I will add, click again on the card. I will add a div, okay? And we will work on that later. Or let's do it right away. I think it's pretty quick. So create a div here, okay? And with the div selected, display, you choose grid. And here on grid, you can actually do this. Like you could use AutomaticCSS in this way. Okay, you choose 2 grid and you just add like, instead of 2, we can say 1. And then you can dash and just say 2. And as you can see, look at this, it creates these 2 sections, but as I typed in 1 and then 2, these basically separated the thing, depending on the value I have here. So 1 is the left column, 2 is the right column, but the 2 is bigger because we have 2, right? If I try 3, as you can see, it gets even bigger. So in this case, I will go with 2. Let's see what happens if I go down on style, layout, and I would say to him to like take the whole space. Okay. As you can see here, by taking the whole space, it's basically getting bigger. This is not what we want actually, so I will show you how to fix this. so if I get to the design again, now we have the icon here, and then we have this little thing here, right? So how to do that? We just need with div selected to click on the plus button and search for image. Okay, and you can add an image, but before adding an image, I usually prefer to add a div again. Okay, so click on another div. So we have two div. I will call avatar wrap. And in avatar wrap, I will go and add an image now. Okay, great. Now, click the main div here again. And now we are going to create another div again. So this main div selected, plus button, div. Okay, and this we call it author info. Oops. Okay, with author info selected, plus button, and we go and add, like, we can use paragraph in this case, like paragraph. Where is paragraph? Basic text. Okay, 1 and 2, of course. And now basic text 1 could be, let me check the data, name. Okay, so I will rename this to name, and this, what it is the date. So basically we have the date of the post and the name. So if you click here, go on content, just paste in the name, and then here you can paste in the date. Of course, all these should be dynamic. In my next tutorial, I will show you how to do that. And okay, so we have title, and then we have this one. So another thing now is the image of the user. Okay, also this one should be dynamic. Anyway, click on the image here, select image. Let me see if I have somebody like this user. I will reuse this one. Okay, and aspect ratio. So before doing any styling here, okay, I usually add a class to everything, and you can do that with AutomaticCSS. Otherwise, you know, you should do that manually. I usually go and click on BAM, for example. Okay, and with BAM selected, let me move my video here. You have apply classes, okay, and if you click apply classes, this happens. It will actually add your classes automatically to all the items, and it's a best practice if you're using bricks, because of course it allows you to change stuff on the whole website if you're going to reuse this. Okay, great. So once you've done that, we can start styling stuff. So first of all, here I should use an image. Okay, so select image. You can find an image. I have some files here that I can just drag and drop that is more similar to the design, and I could start with this one, for example, and insert. Okay, then let me check the design just to make sure. We have the category called design, so this one could be design. Okay, and this one should be UX presentation, and we're also going to add the arrow in a moment. So I want to show you something. Like, for example, those two headings has the same exact class because the levels was named in the same way, and that's a problem, right? So I usually do this. I just rename this with category, for example. Then if you BAM this again, let me see, where is category? Okay, instead of heading, you can say category in this case. Apply. And now, as you can see, the category, it's called category, right? And there is also other ways to do that very simply, but you know, let's go forward with the tutorial. So now we have two different things. So now if I click on the category, I can activate the class, go on style, And then with the font, I can change the font to something smaller. I would go with, we could use, what we could use here? An M would be great. And then I can click on this other title here, activate it. Oh, look at this. He added a category tag here too. So this is a problem. Just do this, just to remove this. Okay. So category has its category class. This one doesn't have any class, and then rebam this. And as you can see now, the heading is off. So you can click here and apply. And now he gets his own class again. With this selected, click here and then go on font size, and the font size would be maybe L in this case. Let me make the design smaller so that, you can see the differences. Like, let's say S, okay. And then this text here, let me check this one. Content, paste in, and that's okay. I will keep it like this. Maybe you can also, make it just a little bit smaller, like typography, and yeah, I think I would keep it like this. I will not change it, as we are wireframing very quickly. So, okay, great. So now there is the harder part where we have the avatar and everything. So let's go on the avatar. I will name this div author, because otherwise I don't understand what I'm working on. So div author. Okay. And now div author could be BAM again, because we have our elements inside. Oh no, he actually BAMmed everything. Look at this. It has all the content in it. So we don't need to click BAM again. So, okay. So let's start with the image. With the image, as you can see, the wrap element is very, very big. And in this case, it's better to actually size the image as we wish. To size the image, you can click on the image and then click on this content. And I would try to change it to something else, like aspect ratio. Okay, one other thing, as you can see, also this image is changing. This because the two images was renamed image itself. So let me fix this, okay? So let me go back. Okay, so I'm not going to edit this class here. I'm going to remove the class of the image. Okay, and I'm going to rebam this by going on the div, because BAM works on the parent thing. So if I BAM this, and then of course I need to rename image first, otherwise the problem comes. Image author avatar. Okay, and you can also BAM it from the card actually. So if you BAM this again, you will find image author card. As you can see, it's off because we removed the class. So it's asking us to re-edit. And now if I add it, it's correct. Okay. So, what happens here now? This one, has his class image that we edited. We need to remove all the styling of this old class. And now we can edit the class, the new class, without having issues. So if I click here and now aspect ratio 1 and 1, as you can see, the image is already a square, but it's not getting the other image. So with this image selected here, okay, I usually go on figure, also HTML tag, and then I can change the width of the image. And to do that, you can go on, on style and width, and I will go with, you can also go with EM, for example, like 1 EM. This is too small. I'm testing. Okay, looks like 3 EM is cool, or 2.5 EM. You can choose. I will go with 2.5 EM. And then if you go on border and border here, you can add the radius. Like if I go with right click, I can say it's circle. Okay, and I would click here to make it all. Now it's a circle, but look at this. We still see the borders here, like the thing. And to fix that is very simple. You go on layout and you go on overflow hidden, and look at that. Ta-da! Worked. So now what we need to do is to actually fix this problem here. The problem is that we have the content that is getting, there is too much spacing. So how we can fix that? I usually work in this way. Like let me see what we can do here. So we have the wrap image, we have the author here, and that's okay. Maybe we can style already this one. So name, let me check on the Figma. We have this one is bolder and this one is like that. So I'm going to change only the sizing, because the color and the boldness you can change it yourself without issue. So I would go with maybe an M here and an S for this one. And of course, before doing any changes, remember to activate the class if you want to change it in the future and make everything change accordingly. So M, yes, let's say M, and here let's activate the class and say S. Okay, it's not same as the design, but you can play around with that. Okay, great. So we have this done. Okay, so we have the div author now that we could actually change the width. I don't want to have this full width, so I can go on style layout. We have full width, right? We can remove this, and here you go. You can actually now keep it like that, or just add some spacing. Of course, we are going to add some spacing. With div author selected, go on content, and with content selected, you can add a gap. So right click and add your gap. So it's separating this, is spacing, the text from the icon, and there you are. You have your element here. Now we need to space all of this stuff here going on. And to do that, you need to actually change the card spacing, and you can change it from here. Okay, so we have the image and we have then the text. The problem of spacing this is this: if you try to space the card, so if you click on card and start spacing it like row gap, right? As you can see, everything spaces evenly, but I want some different gapping, right? And we need to nest things into divs to do that. So let's say I want a S. Okay, this is the S, and I want to keep this spacing on the top and this spacing on the bottom, but those two, okay, or those three, I want them closer to each other. How to do that? So first of all, let's get in the design. So we have this one and this one that are really close to each other. I guess that this has the same closeness, if the word exists. Yeah, so those three are actually very close to each other. And if you can see from the design, there is a box. Look at this box. We need to reproduce this box to make sure it happens. So let's do that. Click on design. Right click on the category layer here that we called and wrap into a div. Now we can call it div content wrap. Okay, you can open it, put in the heading also, and put also the text basic. And look at this. We already achieved what we wanted. And you can click on div content here and just apply a styling. Again, if you want to add, the classes, always click on BAM here. And then look, div content wrap is missing. So I'm going to add it and apply it. Okay. Those already have their classes, as you can see, but this one was new. So we had to add a new class, right? Okay. So with this selected, now what we need to do is to add some gap. So I would click on here, and then here I will change block, okay, to flex, and then click on vertical, and then row gap. I would add an XS or whatever. You can also add like XS and just make a calculation like calc. You open this up and you divide 2 and you do this, and as you can see, the spacing is reduced, or divide 3 or divide 4. Okay. We can also divide for 5. Looks good. Perfect. So now we made our structure here. Look at this. Great. We will be now also trying to duplicate this so that we get, you know, as the design. Of course, here you can also add an arrow. Okay, I don't suggest to do this arrow, but you can do that if you want, because the problem is titles most of the time are longer than this. But let's try to you know, achieve the same layout and see what happens. So let's do that very quickly. I will go on the heading here, and with the heading selected, right click, I would go on div again. So now we have the heading inside of a div, and I would call div wrap heading. So we are nesting thing right now. Div wrap heading, and here we have the heading inside, but with div wrap heading selected, you can go on plus button and search for an icon. I will use a random icon. Maybe we can choose an arrow, maybe. Yeah, arrow. Let's see what we got here. Okay, let's say I want to use this one that is a little bit similar. Okay, or what we have here. We can use this one actually. It's a little bit better. Okay, so we have this icon here. The size, I think, would be 1 EM or something like that. Would be great. Okay, and now we need to click div wrap heading and say, instead of block display, we need to make it flex. And then I usually go on space between in this way, and then just across align cross axis. So as you can see, now we have this element done, and this text is here. Of course, you need to make sure that if the text get longer, it usually go down, and this will be staying here. So for example, I just try to remember lorem. Okay. So this is what happens if you have too much text. You need to crop it with a CSS. Otherwise, I would also go on div wrap heading and just tell him to, not this one, sorry, heading icon. Let me check. Okay, so you can click on align across axis to make sure this stays on the top, and this is a little bit better, right, in this way. Anyway, let me go back to the layout and click on this div wrap and keep it centered. Okay, so let's say this one stays in this way, and you can crop it with CSS. We may also try to do that live, but I'm not sure. Okay, so you copy the class of this heading here. Okay, and then you can go on Sublime Text. Okay, so here I have this snippet of code. Let me copy this snippet of code. First, click on the title, okay, and with the title selected, you go on Style, CSS, and you just paste your CSS, and you copy this class here. And as you can see now, it's cropping, okay? Means that it's actually hiding the text, basically it's limiting the text to this. It's better to fix it a little bit better, like the dots, but you can do that with CSS. As you can see, it was pretty easy. You add your CSS here and it will work. So the text is very long, like hello, as you can see, and you hide it, okay? But it's better, you know, to take time to build your CSS better. Anyway, I will remove the CSS in this case. I don't really need it. And here you go. I'm going to make this as the design. Perfect. So what we need to do now is to actually check the responsive version of this. I usually go like that and see if there is some problem on the spacing. You can also make sure this is hidden. Okay, so to make sure the CSS is working right, let's first finish the rest of the design. So go on section, Okay, close this. We have the two container, right? So with section selected, go on content, row gap, right click, and just add some spacing between the two elements just to make more spacing like this. Then I would go on container here, and with the container selected, make sure to add a gap. So right click and choose your gap. Depends on how much gap you want. This one is quite big, so you can do it like this, and then open up the container and you can start duplicating the card. 1, 2. Okay, and now we have our structure. So of course depends on your website width, okay, because if I go on Figma, it's very narrow as a width, and if you want to have less width, you basically go on section. With section selected, you can go on style, layout, and width. Right click on it and you can change the width. As you can see, the width is changing, and yeah, and that's the way if you want to have less width. And of course you can also change accordingly this container here gap. Okay, so let me change the gap to something smaller. So instead of XL, I would go with an M. I like it more. Okay, and with an M selected, now we have our structure, right? With the M selected, we can now we can click on the top and check the responsiveness of this. And as you can see, it's not looking so bad, but of course on mobile we need to make it vertical. Let's say this one, we can make 2 columns here, and this one looks actually good. So how to make sure the mobile landscape and the mobile works well? Go on the mobile landscape first, and then click on the container here, and with the container selected, I will go and choose grid 2, and look at this. Now we have grid 2 and everything works well. Go on mobile, we have grid 2 again, but in this case I want grid 1. And look at this, now we have all listed vertically. Okay, and let's say this element 2 needs to be vertical instead of 2 columns. Okay, let's see, here it's okay. So here, go on the first container and do the same thing on grid template, just click on 1. As you can see now, it's showing in this way, and then you get on the block right, that is this one, okay, and instead you can type align cross axis. And of course, if you want more spacing between the two elements here, you can click on container and just tell him to add some spacing into gap, okay. Usually it's better to add it here so that it gets the same gap on all the other breakpoints. So I get on the desktop on the base breakpoint, and I will add my gap here. Okay, could be XL or could be like XL in this case. If I go on mobile, look at this. It added the gap, so I did not had to change it on mobile or whatever, but you can change it here too. So it's really up to you. Like, let's say I want a smaller gap, L, and then I check on mobile. Look at this. Now the gap is L. Okay, and as you can see here, you will find the gap of the desktop version. Anyway, we built our structure. Is it fully responsive? We did it really quickly, and I'm really happy that you followed this tutorial, and I hope you enjoyed. If you have any question, comment below, check our website, and of course subscribe to the channel to get notified. See you in the next one. Bye!